Very good afternoon. That's where, for those who are here where I am, but allow me to say good morning and good evening, depending on wherever you're watching us from. My name is Jacob Jr. and it is the PowerPoint here on MGD TV. How are you, my people? How are my people there at MOBS? How are my people at Makerere University? My colleagues at KIU, how are you doing? Colleagues at UCU, and that is for honest students. Then for the others who are not at campus, those are working, my honorables are always watching and following, reaching out and appreciating whatever we do here. I want to say how are you doing and hope everything is going on well for you. And also for my honorables who didn't surface in yesterday's list, please. Yeah, it is true you did surface there, but of course take everything easy. You never know. If Balaam is now a honorable minister, you never know. It could be you on the next list. Otherwise, how are you doing and how is everybody? And I want to appreciate or congratulate those who have been appointed. It is now the topic everywhere. People are talking about the cabinet. Yeah, there is nothing big that has been changed, but still, people are like, wow, so this is how things turn out to be at the end of the day. That's how it turned out. And of course, we cannot try to reverse anything that has happened and has happened. So from today onwards, I'll be addressing Balaam as honorable honorable minister. Who knows? We shall soon be having full figure also being addressed as a honorable minister. But putting that aside, because it's not what we've come to discuss about today. Today we've come to discuss about something so different, and this time around is about Pan-Africanism, and specifically want to see the engagement of the youths in Pan-Africanism. Many youths over time have decided to put themselves aside from the things they feel Pan-Africanism is for our leaders. It is something that has to be spoken about by maybe the elders or the big politicians we know of, and they think they cannot impact anything or cannot effectively participate in Pan-Africanism. Like in spreading it and trying to do things that really make Africa a great continent, or that will bring all the 54 states of Africa to be one nation. So today I'm hosting a young Pan-African whom we are going to discuss with a lot of things concerning Pan-Africanism and how effectively the youths can engage in this race that was started some years back by our great fathers, our great grandfathers, the Thomas Sankaras. Of course, it was initiated by one Ghanaian president by then in the names of Kwame Nkrumah, Osajef Kwame Nkrumah. So we want to discuss about that today, and my guest today is here already in the studios, and I want him to introduce himself as such that we begin from there.
Okay, thank you so much, my friend, my brother, Jacob Jr., and to everyone who is watching over there. I say good afternoon to you all. It is with much utmost honor and humility to have a chance to be on MGD TV to be talking about Pan-Africanism. My name is Aineplani Major, and I'm a law student from Kampala International University, and I am a young Pan-African. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacob, for hosting me here tonight to discuss about the role of the youth in participating all in embracing Pan-Africanism.
Yeah, so maybe just add on an introduction. That is something I feel you've left out. Tell us what your role in Kwetu. I saw something about Kwetu and what Kwetu
Africa Kwetu Students Organization is a Pan-African-based movement or organization, which is a student-based organization. But we still, it entails everyone, because it is a role of everyone, it is the responsibility of everyone to participate in Pan-Africanism. So I am a president of Africa Kwetu Students Organization, KIU chapter. And this is an organization which has chapters in all of the universities in Uganda, and which has clubs in the whole of Uganda in secondary schools. Even where they are not, we are launching them soon. And this organization, All Africa Kwetu Students Organization, started way back when we were in high school. We sat and we said, what can we do in embracing Pan-Africanism? My colleagues, Kiza Erica from Tungamo, Arana Ijuka, and others, they sat, they brought the idea. And you know, in this world, we all have ideas, but the difference is making the ideas happen. We said, how can we do this? And we bring it into practice. We have heard people talk about Pan-Africanism. We have read books of Pan-Africanism. But how can we bring it? How can we implement it? How can we show Africa that we really love Africa? Minus talking, minus writing, and minus reading. That's how Africa Kwetu came up. And as of now, we have all the credentials, we have all the authenticity from the Ministry of Education to launch all the clubs in the whole of Uganda. And that's why we are moving on and on 5th April of this very year. We shall be launching all the clubs officially in a ceremony that is slated to take place at Uganda Christian University in Mukono, where the chief guest is slated to be Right Honorable Kadaga Rebecca, who is the Minister for East African Affairs and who is the First Deputy Prime Minister. And why purposely we chose her to be the chief guest is because we want to cross the borders of Uganda. We say, yes, it begins with us here in Uganda, but we feel we are fighting for the unification of East Africa. And as Africa Kwetu, we still call upon every youth in Uganda, in the whole of East Africa, in the whole of Africa, to embrace Pan-Africanism. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's about Kwetu. Now, from what you've just talked about, you sat down and thought of how you could bring the unification of Africa to real life by uniting the youths. I want you to tell us, because many youths outside there, not only the youths, but even big people out there, maybe they don't know what is entailed in Pan-Africanism, what is done as, what is that has to be done by a Pan-Africanist, or they just don't know what Pan-Africanism exactly is all about.
Oh,
so can you brief them?
Thank you so much. Pan-Africanism itself, it entails the spirit and the zeal of every African to love the continent Africa. And you know, when Africa was colonized by the whites, very many things happened. They came, they told us our names were not names.
Yeah.
They gave us new names.
New names.
They came to our geographic features. They told us, no, those are not names. Like Muitans, they said, no, let's call it Lake Victoria. They took our cultural diversity, we are putting on our clothes by then, which we would feel comfortable in. But they said, no, you have to put on suits. And indeed, that's why, like, Jacob is dressed tonight, he's in a suit.
Yeah.
So, in embracing that spirit and that zeal of Pan-Africanism, it begins from here, the grassroots. And when we fail to embrace that, there is the price we must pay. And indeed, very many people have been asking us that what could have delayed the unification of Africa. Yes, you know, every country has its own laws, every country has its own language, tribe, and that's why we, the young people, we said, can't we have something which can unify the whole of Africa? And as of now, we say, if yes, we can use English, but can't we have our languages of Africa like Kiswahili, which we can use to communicate here in Africa? Can't we promote our diversity beyond what we think as the youth? And we should not wait for these people, because whenever you talk about Pan-Africanism, very many youth quickly get into the leadership, and they start scrutinizing the old leaders of Africa. Yes, we have the leaders who every tried to bring up Pan-Africanism, the likes of Thomas Sankara, the likes of Nelson Mandela, and still some of them are living. We have seen this president, Trolley, His Excellency Trolley, and what he's doing. You see, he tries to prove that he loves Africa. He wants what belongs to Africa to belong to Africa. And that is all we are fighting for. Why should we be ruled by people indirectly? Because as you know, here, when you come in countries like Uganda, yes, we can say Uganda is a developing country, like other developing countries. At times, we may not support ourselves. But then, we should, if at all you're giving us aid, or if at all we receive aid from outside, why should that aid come with strings? Then we say, we as the youth, can't we put on strategies where we can develop our own things? And at times you find there are some things which get impossible to us. For example, Mr. Jacob, you're well aware that now we are facing a challenge of climatic action whereby we are experiencing warm temperatures around.
True.
But we here in Africa, we might have a less impact to change that. Because those countries, the countries of America, Germany, they have many industries. And whenever those fumes get out of the industries, they destroy the ozone layer. That's why we are affected here in Africa. And still, yes, we have much of the environmental phenomenon, but still, it is the other countries to help in that. So we as the youth, we as the young people, we said, let's put the efforts. Then let's do all we can, at least to put Pan-Africanism on, we scale it to other heights.
Wow. Talking about the aid that you've just talked about, there is a possibility that most of the people who really need this aid are the youths.
Yes.
And I don't know how do you think the youths can try to really embrace this Pan-Africanism thing and make sure that even when the aid is something that they have to depend on, they have to at some point stay away from it?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jacob. That is the reason why here in Uganda, some of us can speak very good English, but we do not have what to eat.
Yeah, true.
Because of the education system that was still brought in by the whites, whereby they teach us more of theoretic things than practical things. So we still, as the youth, we keep engaging in with the ministries and with the nation. For example, through the debates, Africa Kwetu organizes debates in different schools, in universities, to debate about such issues and to make sure that at least we engage with the youth, we advise them, we sensitize them on how we can build our own families, on how we can build our own country without begging from outside countries. Because if you have hands, if you have everything, then why should we wait and we keep asking aid from those countries? You recently saw what happened in this saga of anti-homosexuality. Now, because they are giving us aid, that's why they were hard pushing us to the wall to accept what we have not been seeing before.
And actually,
and
the majority of the victims of that homosexuality we've seen the youths.
Yes, because of poverty. Because of poverty, at times they want money and they want quick money. They have not been exposed from their childhood on how to work. Now, this spirit of bearing a child, you keep a child home and you wait the child to finish A-level, to go for university. You have not taught that child any practical skill in the hand. That is why you find, even when we have graduated, we go on the streets because we were not given any skill when we were growing up. So still we bring it to the parents and everyone in Africa. You know, a child, at times we leave it to the parents, but it is a responsibility of every Ugandan, every African to make sure that a child is brought well and taught what to do.
Wow. So talking of the education system that you just talked about,
yes,
that we spend most of the time at school and doing nothing.
Yes.
Should we blame this on the Europeans, on the colonizers? Yet right now we have what we call independent governments. We have leaders leading us who are in charge, who are the ones making these policies, these education policies.
Yes.
Should we still blame it on the Europeans or the colonizers for what they did? Yet we have now independent governments that have the power and the authority to change education systems.
Right. To a smaller extent, we would push it beyond the boundaries of the nation. But then I appreciate the work of the Ministry of Education, saying they are trying to improve and to make sure that we have more practical lessons and lectures in the whole of the country. But we need what we call ground sensitization. Ground sensitization. Because even if you teach it in class, you tell me that this is a generator, you operate it like this, but behind there when I go back home, I don't find it there, then still it becomes useless. So I think we have, the government should try to bring up, to create things which can employ the youth, to bring up students and people who know what to do when they are growing up. You find someone knows that what if I fail to graduate, or if I graduate and I fail to get a job, what can I create for myself? I think it is the responsibility of everyone and the parent. You find someone has a skill of carpentry. Someone is a driver, minus graduating in Bachelor's of Laws. Someone is a cattle keeper. Someone is a fisherman. But because we have been planted in this thing of saying that when you graduate, you have to be gentle, like Mr. Jacob.
Yeah, you give the example of yourself.
That you have every time to stay in suits and to stay in ties. That is why all we are failing to do that. At times we feel, we become emotional when we see where we have come from, where we are, and where we are going. Because yes, we know where we have been and where we are coming from. But whenever we see where we are going with this increasing population, Mr. Jacob, when people are graduating every other day, when you go back here like at KIU, you will find we have more than 2,000 students who are studying law.
That is small. Look at Makerere.
Yes, how many courts do we have in Uganda? Meaning we should have something done to make sure that these students can create their own law firms, can practice other things legally, not telling them that when you study and you become a lawyer, you have purposely go in the courts. And everywhere, even in other sectors like agriculture, you find a student graduated in agriculture, but a student tells you vividly that I cannot hold a hoe. And in this developing country, where you know that we still have the limited technology of using these tractors, those machines, so still we have to encourage people not to take themselves higher than they are.
Wow. So you talked of these practical skills like carpentry. While growing up with my colleagues in the village, we're deep in the village, and each time they would ask us of our dreams, none of us could say, my dream is to be a carpenter, my dream is to be a farmer. Actually, our dreams would be, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a president of Uganda, I want to be a lawyer. So do you think really the youths are ready to embrace such practical skills that will maybe to some extent limit on the need or the desire for this foreign aid that at the end of the day makes us ruin our culture here?
Unfortunately, the ones who brought it do not practice it. When you go in those countries, the European countries, when a child is growing, they keep seeing what the child likes. If they see you trying to shoot every time you hold sticks, you want to shoot, they definitely know that you're going to become a soldier. If they see you having a needle every time you're pricking, you're doing this, they know that you will become a doctor. They will not waste your time teaching you divinity things which will not help you. They will directly channel you into where you're going, into where they see future in you. But here in Uganda, even those when you're singing in primary that I will become a doctor, I will become a pilot, you are not sure. Because when you go back in your region, in your district, no one owns an aeroplane. But you're saying that you want to become a pilot when you just see the airplanes flying over the air there. So I think we should now focus on what we have in Africa than focusing more on what was brought by the European countries. You see, when those, especially the missionaries, when they came, they brought a Bible. They told us to close our eyes and we pray. Yes, we accepted because they had planted in ourselves the other spirit of holiness, of brotherhood and sisterhood. But on opening our eyes, we found ourselves with the Bible. They had our land. So really, we as young people, whenever we read about that history, we become emotional. We say, well, how can we retrieve what we lost? And whenever at times we see people trying to bring up the spirit of Pan-Africanism, and at the same time we see them being attempted, we see attempted assassinations like what is happening to the president of Burkina Faso, Traoré. Yes, Ibrahim Traoré. You see every other time they say they have been attempting to assassinate him. Why? Because they know he wants what belongs to Africa indeed to belong to Africa. And now, that's why we as the young patriots, we as the young Pan-Africans, we are saying what belongs to Uganda should belong to Uganda.
Oh, so briefly before we go in for a short break, are you trying to confirm that the statement that one man said that if you do not know who you are,
Yeah.
then you will be whosoever somebody else says you are? Are you trying to say that we Africans, we don't know who we are exactly? That's why even the Bible had to create differences. That's why everything that comes, the homosexuality you're talking about, that a man sleep with a fellow man, a woman sleep with a fellow woman, side things coming in and we adopt them. Does it have to do with the fact that we don't know who exactly we are?
Thank you so much. To some extent, I may say that we do not know who we are and what we have in Africa. That is why now when you come in these African countries, you will see someone you met at the age of like 19 and you meet that person at the age of 40. The one who was black now is brown. You see, someone is an African but is not happy that he or she is an African. Really, we should be happy and we should embrace the color we have, the black color. Then if you're proud to be an African, why should you breach in disguise that you want to look like a white? So at times we have resources, but we do not know how to utilize them. There are these other European countries which come here and they drill oil from Africa. They take it there and they bring it back when it is fine processed, and they sell it to us at higher prices. Really? But you find whenever we get money, like here in Uganda, it is only to have the money to make birthdays, celebrations all over the country and do this and do this. And when the politics end, as if in Uganda it is made for only politics. Even when after voting, people continue looking for votes. Can't we use all those resources? We create our own lords like the lords here in Kampala. I want to thank His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for all the efforts he has put to make sure that we have good roads at least here in Kampala. And you know, there is nothing that can be perfected 100%. However, some roads still have potholes. That is how we come up and we say, what can we do? Before we come up, we have to appreciate these people. Yes, they also have their mistakes. But whenever you're going to criticize, first see the good part of what they have done. Really, these people have left a landmark where I believe if at all the young people build their strategies from, we can get up and we have one country. I think from the break, we shall talk about the unification of East Africa and what generally has delayed the unification of East Africa.
Actually, I shall pick up from you after the break. But this question goes now to our viewer out there. Are you really proud to be an African? If you're proud, what is that exactly thing that you're practicing, that you do, that really testifies before people that yes, you're proud of who you are exactly and you really know who you are? Because we've just said here that I think one of the problems why we are like this, we tend to adopt the things we don't know about, is because we don't know who exactly
even the
we are.
things we do not know the impacts of.
We just adopt.
Yes, you see, you want to breach, but you don't know the impact.
The impact of bleaching. So people want to be white. But that question I leave it to you, our dear viewer. I want you to tell us what you exactly think. You're still on PowerPoint Show. I'm Jacob Jr. and I'm with my guest of today, Aineplani Major. After the short break, see you. Right, we'll be back from that short break, and Jacob Jr. You're still on PowerPoint Show, and I'm with Mr. Aineplani Major. That name sometimes disturbs me. I want to mix it and I call it Aine Major Plani.
By the way, I would like to clarify on that name. At times, whenever I go into the offices, people ask me that. I tell them my name is Aineplani Major, and they will be like, "No, we want your real name."
Your real name.
But my real name is Aineplani Major. It is the name on all documents, on my birth certificate, and everywhere.
And I had my own translation of that name, Aineplani Major. To me, I translated it as I have a plan major. So I don't know, but that's something we are discussing about today. But we are still on the youth engagement in Pan-Africanism. Can we have effective engagement of the youth in this movement that was started some years back. We've seen very many organizations come up trying to front this ideology of Pan-Africanism. We have seen the AU, and of recent, I think even these whatevers we've been having, the organizations, these regional corporations we've had, like the East African community, I think they're trying to also front such a thing. But the question is, can something good come out of them? And from that very thing, very point is now where I want to ask you, do you think these corporations that we have being created day and night in Africa, on the continent of Africa, can really produce something good for the unity of Africa?
Okay, thank you so much. You know, at times, whenever you want to solve a problem, you must first know the problem. So you can't solve what you don't know. So in Africa, we have problems like in East Africa mainly, which have delayed the unification of East Africa. However, we have those organizations, we even have the East African Youth Parliament, but we have the concerns that have delayed the unification of East Africa, and it all begins from where we are right now. If we cannot polish from where we are, I know that even you, Mr. Jacob, you don't wish to relate with someone who is a thief, someone who is a killer. So we have to first solve those problems, eliminate the wars in East Africa, and then we unite. Even if they say that now we are opening the borders and you're going to enter anyhow the way you want, but still when there are those problems, then we must solve the problems first if we want the unification. And whenever it comes to the problems we suffer from here, Uganda, people think that it is the leadership that has brought those problems. No, it is we the people. If you're blaming the parliament, aren't you the ones who have sent in those people in the parliament? We are the people, because whenever you do something, there is what we call the price we must pay for it. Yeah. Whenever they give you money at the village level in these elections, and for you, you take the wallet of 1K, you take food, they buy for you food, they give you t-shirts, caps, and you jubilate. They are not from heaven. They have bought them, and they will need to again get their money. It begins from us on the grassroots. If we cannot embrace that, then we can never fight corruption, we can never fight anything else. There is one scholar, Professor Dicey. He propounded that for a country to get away with malgamania and dictatorial tendencies, power shall be removed from the hands of men and women and shall be put in the position of the law. So if we still can't realize that we have that power and authority in our hands to change the country, then someone from Kenya, someone from America cannot come and change Uganda. And if you cannot change, at times then change forces you to change. But then how? Negatively or positively. So it begins with us to sensitize the people we have grown up with, to sensitize the people we eat with, we live with, to embrace the spirit of Pan-Africanism. Because Pan-Africanism, we can never achieve it if we cannot first solve the concerns we have here, Mr. Jacob, in Uganda. A reason to why those people sell their rights, a reason to why those people get money from the contestants, and has now developed as a habit. They know when you go in these districts. For example, I come from Kigezi region, and you go in a district like Ntungamo, and you ask them, how is the election in this area? They will tell you, the other guy has a lot of money. This guy has a lot of money. Probably he will win. We are now bringing politics on a perspective of money. That is why we have killed the political future of this nation. Because we are worried. We are worried of now having more tycoons in the parliament, but with no ideologies politically. They have money, but yes, they will not deliver as we want. And when they do not deliver, it is we to suffer. For them, they will have these four-wheel vehicles. For them, they will have Porsche cars. It is we who are moving on bicycles, on motorcycles, on these other cars. It is we to suffer. And when I get into the political nature of Uganda, you know, in Uganda, we use a multi-party dispensation, where we have different political parties. Yeah. But we have been misguided. The youth have been misguided. They follow people they know. They have to support their relatives because they know them. They support their friends, even whereas they do not have the ideologies of developing the country. Can't we get away with that? And we support someone whom we know that at least this person has an idea. Even if I don't support my brother or my cousin or my friend, but this person has gone to bring what we want. And what is more surprising, whenever they don't deliver, we again cry, we lament that we have a failed government system. Yet we are the ones who have created it. So it is, Mr. Jacob, what affects a youth of NOP affects a youth of NRM. What affects a youth of UPC affects a youth of DP. When problems come, they won't say that this one is from NRM or this one is from NOP. We use the same roads. When you reach at the pothole, it will not say that since you are of NRM, you jump. No, we all face the same problems. Both the youth of NOP and NRM are unemployed. Meaning we have to unite efforts to have a collective responsibility if we want to solve these problems. Because I don't think that there is any country, the likes of Kenya, Tanzania, which would like to make a unification with Uganda. If at all Uganda will remain with these corruption tendencies every time, they are making research about the parliament, they are making research about the prime minister, meaning they are making research about the whole government. But it is we to be the overseers of what we have. Because at times you find the youth jazzing, and they are like, whenever you go to look for a job, they ask money from you.
Which is true.
Which is true. And you are the very people who give them money. And you are the very people who want to fight corruption.
So are they confirming the statement that to get money, use money?
Don't you think if we are to fight corruption, it is we to first remove it from ourselves? Before, if now I have been, last time I saw a clip, a white was on Masaka Highway, and he removed 2K when they stopped him on the border checks, and he removed 2K and gave it to a soldier. Even people from abroad know Kintu Kidogo, know that when they stop you for anything, you just remove Kintu Kidogo and you continue. Really, is this the country we want? Is this the new Uganda that we are fighting for?
Oh,
we need to
DNA.
create a new Uganda that we shall all be happy with. Because ideally no one would object living in a health country, in a country where we do not have corruption. But let's not play a blame game of saying that the government has promoted corruption, yet we are the ones who are...
Are you trying so that even these cooperatives can't do anything, these corporations we've had, the East African Community, because now we saw recent Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso withdraw from ECOWAS.
Yes.
Don't you think we can have the same thing happen with the East African Community? Because I won't lie to you, we don't see any effect of the East African Community apart from having leaders representing these East African countries on, in the parliament, in the EAC parliament.
To have that, because like those countries, to leave ECOWAS, they had issues why, they had reasons to why.
And the question is, were they right?
Yes, at times they are right. They are right. If you go in any school right now and you find that school does not teach well, then you cannot stay in that school.
Yeah, because
you look for a school that can teach you what you want.
One of the reasons that His Excellency Ibrahim Traore gave was that one of the reasons why they had to leave ECOWAS is the fact that for them they had realized ECOWAS was not working for the Africans. They were not working in the interest of the Africans, but they were working for some superior who was funding them, some superior who was using them. Which superior? They were meaning the European countries, the USAs that were using them. Do you think it's the same thing with the East African Community?
Living where we are right now, and we come to the international scene, the same thing we have witnessed countries withdrawing from international court, the ICC, International Criminal Court, for such reasons. Because the International Criminal Court over the time has always indicted Africans and has always tried people from Africa than the people from those other countries. So they said, why can't we withdraw? We have our own courts here in Africa. So the same thing, if we want to have Pan-Africanism embraced in Africa, if we really want the unification of Africa, we must get away with the influence of those super countries, the US, the Germany, those countries. However, we cannot say that we can get away completely from them. We need them. They are people like we are. We can always harmonize on issues, associate with them, but when it comes to the influence in our countries, they should not come and influence us here. Mr. Jacob, it is not right. When I come today, I come to your family, I tell you that, Mr. Jacob, this door, you should put it there because it is supposed to be there. Because whenever you put down, there is one scholar who said that whenever you want to put down a fence, first know the reasons to why it was built. Maybe I do not know the reasons to why you decided to put the door in that position where it is. So definitely in Africa, we have these resources. Those countries, they are fighting to come and dive into Africa and take what belongs to Africa, take it to their countries. Because they know Africa is a rich continent. We have minerals, we have gold, we have oil here in Uganda, in Lake Albert. We have, that is why they are ever eager to give us loans. Because they know, at whatever cost, when we fail to pay the loans, then they will take what we have. What belongs to us, they will own it. Because we have failed to pay the loans.
Okay, so maybe just briefly as we wind up, because I want to finish this, I want you to talk about the African Union shortly, because when you look at the African Union, in its constitution, one of the laws it has it actually recognizes the sovereignty of every country. Yet all these African countries subscribe to the AU. The Uganda, the Kenya, the South Africa, Malawi, and so forth. They subscribe to the AU. But again, if you're having a corporation like the AU, that we expect if it has the laws, the laws should be binding everybody. And at the same time, you're recognizing, yes, the sovereignty of every country, that Kenya is independent, Uganda is independent. Do you think there is any way you can affect your ideas and the things that you're trying to front, something that you're fighting for unity, but again the laws, if you're recognizing the sovereignty of each country, it means of which sovereignties, these sovereign countries, you find Uganda is having different laws from Kenya. Kenya is having different laws from South Africa. So that you cannot, how can they really have a united Africa when, yes, these people have different laws that are governing them, and at the same time the AU is recognizing their sovereignty? Does it, do you think they can achieve anything when they still have that?
Thank you so much. When it comes to the sovereignty, there you're coming into raw. We have the international laws and we have the laws that govern a country independently.
Yes.
Even in the country, we have these customary laws which may not be applicable to every region.
Yes.
But still, you see, we are living in one country. However, we have different customs. However, we fall in different kingdoms, in different regions. We have the supreme law, which is the 1995 Constitution, and we still have those customs which are binding in the areas where they are applicable. So still in Africa, we have laws that may not be marginalized in the whole of Africa, but AU as the African Union, it can establish the base of the major laws. If they say that there is no country which we shall not intervene in the security of another country, then you see that one is something which is international.
And that is which is lacking, and that's why some Pan-Africans like Pierre Lumumba are trying to advocate for.
They have been advocating for that, but on a long run, because of some issues like the greedy leaders, you know, money is one of the issues why Pan-Africanism has delayed and why the unification of Africa has delayed, like you're seeing here in Uganda. You be there and you find they are saying this one got money from this one. Even these Pan-African associations, they have not fulfilled their missions and visions because of money. They reach on the way, they become political. Yet you should be neutral. When you a Pan-African, you should not segregate. A Pan-African merely is like the police. If you find someone of Noop doing something wrong, help that person, sensitize that person. This one, what you're doing will affect even your grandchildren.
Okay.
If you find a youth of Noop or DPC, UPC, tell that youth that what you are doing generally may not affect only you, but will affect the country, East Africa, and Africa at large.
Wow, wow. So that has been Mr. Aineplani, Major.
Yes.
And we've been discussing about the youth engagement and Pan-Africanism and how best they can try to, or how best they can also try to participate to ensure that the unity of Africa is achievable. But I hope we can have him next time again. So you, my viewer, you can tell us what you think about this particular show. What have you got from this? Which question do you think has been left unanswered? What do you think has to be done? As you, an African, what really have you tried to do to ensure that the unity of Africa is achievable? It has been the PowerPoint, and thanks for watching. I'm Jacob Junior Munghesi.
So before we leave, I have to send regards to all the students of Kampala International University.
Yes.
Mainly, more especially to the law students, my group 3 students, wherever they are, and to my colleagues, Mr. Talima Gilbert, the Guild President, Mr. Godfrey Agava, and all others, without forgetting my family, where I come from, who keep...
Send regards to Captain Christmas.
Regards to my elder, retired Captain Damson Christmas, and the family, the wife, Council Doreen, and all others, my brothers, Bright and Praise, my family, my dad, Mr. Stephen. By the way, that is why I have the name of the soldier, because he went under training and he did not achieve what he wanted. So he said he had a plan to become a major. That is the reason why I have the name Aineplani Major. Thank you so much,
so Mr. You have to go and complete the mission. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Next time we hope to have another guest, but I promise, if you ask me to bring back Major, I'll bring him back and we shall have to talk more about this, because this is something that has to sink in everybody's mind, especially the youth. Thanks for watching. I've been Jacob Jr. on PowerPoint here on MGD TV. Till next time, we meet.
Bye-bye.